All right, welcome to the board meeting for September 23rd. We'll have a pledge allegiance and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
We do have, in the personnel report, we do have a bus driver recommendation that's been added to that.
A motion to accept the change.
I'll make a motion to accept the change.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, right hand. All opposed, same. Okay, moving on to the regular meeting minutes for September 9th. And the second preliminary hearing for the 2026 GEO bond minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do you want to do both at the same time, or do you want them separate?
I'm fine doing both at the same time.
Okay, a motion?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, right hand. Opposed? 5-0. Moving on to the 2026 budget hearing.
Okay, so just going over the workshop and just a timeline for all this, we did the workshop back on the 26th of August. And so we've had our last meeting, we had permission to advertise the budget, which is Form 3. So that's been advertised, and then we have today, the 23rd, is our actual budget hearing. So this is the same information that we advertised and shared at our last meeting. Just shows you how our budget has changed with state tuition and what we're advertising. So we're advertising 17.9 this year for the education fund. That is a 4.5% reduction from what we had last year. So we're reducing the education fund budget for next year.
Is that because of the ADM decreasing to result in that decreased budget, or the state funding amount decreasing based on, or is it because of the budget now reflects the curriculum?
Yeah, so when you see before, we were able to get reimbursed for curriculum as a grant for that. Now that's just put into your education fund and we have to take that out. And so, but it's also reflective of, and for good reason, so we were very aggressive with teacher salaries and things and programming over the last couple of years. And we've, we had that 30% where we were at before with education in terms of our percent of expenditures, their fund balance to expenditures. And so we're kind of auto-correcting the other way. Like I think that was good. We want to be aggressive because the money's there to spend on our teachers and on our kids and on our programming. So now we need to kind of backtrack a little bit with that. And I think, and yes, if our enrollment was growing and we had that trend going, I think we could continue, but we need to scale back a little bit if we're going to continue to try to increase teacher salaries, which we want to do that and stay competitive.
So this is advertised spending, not advertised receipt of funds.
Correct. Then operation fund budget also, reducing that as well. And the same thing, I mean, we've been aggressive in what we've been doing with trying to improve facilities and get equipment that we might need. And so it's time to start scaling some stuff back. Especially, and again, if it's the board's decision to scale back a little bit with the bond, which is fine, I mean, but that just then means that we're going to have to, I think, pinch a little bit more in what we're trying to do with projects and that sort of thing within operations.
Hey Mike, with all
Yeah.
these cutbacks, have you looked at what areas you're gonna cut?
We have, I mean, I think, so one area that we've been talking, and a lot of this is what we're gonna look over the course of a year. But I think there's one area, just as we look at our benefits, and it's not cutting people's benefits, but we're looking at like insurance, that's a huge cost for us. How can we do that in a little smarter way in terms of what we offer? Now, that's gonna be a conversation to have with people, but that's an area to look at, because that's a big cost for us. And then I think when we look at just salaries in general, salaries and benefits and positions, don't want the message to be out that we're cutting positions, but how can we do things more efficiently throughout, including our office and everywhere? So I think that's an area. There's also just areas in supplies, just looking at some things that we've just been, just brainstorming now. But supplies and just, not only just with custodial supplies, but building and maintenance, buildings and grounds and maintenance supplies. We've also looked at copying machine usage, and that's always, every district kind of goes to that. Can we get a handle on that a little bit better? I think there's some cost to cut back there. So those are all things that we're looking at. I don't want to make any declarative right now. We've got a year to try to make cuts in those, but those are the conversations we're having now. And I think with education fund, so that was operation in education fund, if I go back to that. One area with the curriculum, so they had passed where you couldn't charge fees to families. And so we were just taking all that, but then we'd use that for reimbursement. Well, now that reimbursement is kind of gone because it's just in your budget. There are areas where we're now able to charge fees for families. It's not all the way that it was before, but a lot of schools went into that this year and started charging fees. We chose not to. But that'll be a conversation over the course of the year that then we'll talk to families about plenty of time ahead of time for next year. But there's some fees that we probably needed to be asking for now from families because it was all put on us. Textbooks, you're still not gonna be charged for that. But there are like supply accounts or manipulatives or consumables that we could be charging families for. So it's not gonna be, $800,000 in revenue that you're getting out of that. It's gonna be small numbers, but it all adds up. I know Byron's looking at what we're doing with software. Can we be a little bit more efficient with some of our software licensing that we're doing and combine some of that together? So it's holistic on a lot of things. It's a little bit here, a little bit there. But looking at how we're doing salaries and benefits just as a whole, we need to take a look at it. And it gets a little bit tricky with that because you want to continue to be competitive with your salaries. So.
You're gonna have to be more, it sounds like to me it's a lot of efficiencies.
Right.
You're trying to streamline.
Well, and the big thing, and sorry to interrupt you, Todd, but just going back to thinking about all the things that we've talked about, going back to what we talked about with transportation and just knowing that with fuel and maintenance costs, like there's money to be saved there. That's a big chunk, at least with operations, I think we can get back. Thank you. Then just looking at bus replacement plan. So I wanted to this is also linked in the board packet and also for the public. But just wanted to show that here in our presentation. Just want to stay ahead of, really, anytime you have buses that are 12 years or more older, those have to be inspected twice a year. But you're also getting into, I've got some things here with mileage. I mean, we're getting up to some with 200,000+ miles on it. And once talking with Rodney today, we were talking even more about it. I mean, you're just starting to see more maintenance costs in there. So you do want to stay ahead of that. Over the last 5 years, we've added 15 regular buses. And so that's averaging about 3 buses a year. That's kind of what you try to do to stay ahead of this, so you're not just replacing all your buses at once. Deb and I were talking earlier today. There was a stretch there, I think from 2009 to I think 13 or 14, where we didn't order any new buses because we were paying down the pension debt, and that just catches up with you. So.
Are buses, how much do buses change as far as safety and things like that? Is there safety upgrades in newer buses that are?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is looking at the camera systems, which is part of that. Do you get that with the new buses, or is that a new camera system? But yeah, I mean, I'm probably not the best person to talk about all the aspects of the buses, but yeah, I mean, I think with anything, as you continue to make buses, I mean, I think they're a lot safer than they were 10, 15 years ago.
So 12 years and they have to be replaced, or they have to be inspected?
I mean, they don't have to be replaced. It's just you're going to be inspected twice. You have to do go through 2 inspections for them to be on the road, which, I mean, all of our buses this year, I mean, went through, we had a couple of minor things with 2 buses, but otherwise, all of them passed the first time through. So Family Ford's doing a great job keeping our buses ready to run.
Do they pay you to say that too?
I don't. I am really happy for them, though. They're doing a great job. So,
I think it'd be good to have the new director kind of,
yeah,
as she gets her hands on it, give a report on the buses
agreed.
whenever she is available.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah, I do too, I agree with Cory.
Then capital projects, so these are anything that's gonna be $10,000 or more. And again, this doesn't say we have to do this, but if we have plans to do this, we need to put it on our capital projects plan. I do have, Adam, if you guys have questions specifically about some of this, because this plan is put in conjunction with Adam and Byron, so they can both come up if you have specific questions about the items on here. But they helped put this together, and we actually have a bigger spreadsheet than this that we narrowed down. So some of these things could be taken care of in the bond if we pass that bond, that resolution. But things that are not in there would be things that have been asked for with both our facilities department and also technology.
on your sheet, before Adam gets up there, on your sheet, it doesn't have it, so it might be corrected. On ours, it has 2 OSSI and inclusion playgrounds for $750 apiece. So if this is what we have to actually,
So right here, so there's 2 amounts there. One is for furniture for Lancaster.
Yeah, it's not, I don't see it.
Yeah, I think there was a mistake there, yeah, that we corrected, yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
good, as long
Thank
as
you.
it's off, then we're good.
Right, you don't want to do that twice? Right, I don't either. Okay,
One of the questions I have is, well, there's 2, I guess. One, on that robotic, is this a second, like I've seen on the robotics painter, we had it on last year.
Right.
So is this the second one, or we just?
No, we didn't do it.
Okay. The glass backboard, if I remember, I talked to you last year, we had one break, correct? Or,
Well, the maintenance department, the original basketball goals from the high school, those were the last, one of those broke.
okay, that's
We
what it
replaced
was.
that one
Okay.
3 or 4 years ago, but the middle school still has the old wooden basketball goals.
Okay.
This
And-
is per backboard?
Oh, yeah.
No, that's for 6 of them, I think.
That's total,
Oh.
all, the whole, okay.
Nice.
yeah, I should say backboards.
The all beside the other 6 of them.
And then on the flooring replacement, can you talk about it a little bit, and if there's different approaches that can be taken and what we could do differently?
Yeah, so
'Cause
a
that's
lot of
big
the,
number.
a lot of the
It
problems
is.
is the moisture coming up from the concrete. So that's the first thing that we gotta mitigate. And they can put that, they can either grind it down and put a sealer over the top of it. There's different ways to do it. There's different flooring options, kinda like what we did.
In the pool area?
Yeah, we went with the epoxy in there, and that one, they said, is really a lifetime. It's just if you wanna change the color of it.
Right.
Kinda like the pink
Yeah.
terrazzo. It's gonna last forever, but it just, if your styles change. You could go cheaper options, LVT, kinda like what we have out there, but you're gonna run into the risk of the glue not sticking again if we don't mitigate the problem.
Which is moisture.
Correct, yeah.
Would doing that thing in the pool area, the epoxy or whatever it is,
Mhm.
would that be a cheaper, I mean, it would be bad for acoustics, I know, because you don't have any carpet in
Right.
rooms like this, but,
I think the LVT would probably be the cheapest option, but the durability, you're gonna have to replace it in 5 to 10 years probably, depending on where it's at. The epoxy is gonna last you the longest, and it probably would only be a one-time deal that you have to do it.
Are there certain areas where it's worse?
This room right here.
Wow.
We actually just fixed some, in room 111. There's probably 2 rooms every month that we have to go in and fix the carpeted tiles down. And the hallways, anytime we drive a scrubber over across it or heavy machinery or something like that, the glue continues to peel up or squirt out from underneath it. And that was done in 2012. So the glue's just never dried. Yeah. So that's why you see streaking along the tiles going through the cafeteria hallways, because the glue squirts out from underneath it.
Is that why there's the need to really kind of look at it from a larger approach versus a individual room.
And we can do it, individually, we do the hallways first and then come back and do the classrooms. It just really depends on how much we wanna spend, at each time. There's not a, you have to do a certain section at a time, we can break it down into smaller chunks.
So you can't break down so much. Do you have, who looked at the flooring besides yourself? Anybody else, any outside sources?
Yeah, we had, Dancer Concrete was the one that did the pool area, and then we've had, well, whenever we had the moisture problems, they came in and checked all the moisture in all the classrooms, not all the classrooms, the ones that we had problems with.
Yeah, given the flooring, I mean, as far as the flooring.
No.
Anybody else on that?
As far as what's wrong, the causes of it,
Like, was there anything we can do to get by until we do change it out? Or do we do it, certain ones are bad?
yeah, no, we haven't had an actual contractor come in and look at it. We had Jack Lloyd was the original installer, in 2012, and they've actually replaced it back in 2012 because there was just problems with it then. And I think we got to cut it back at like $100,000 or something like that. So we've had issues with that flooring ever since then. But we probably need to do some core drills and put in some moisture meters and see. There might be, like at Austin, when we did that flooring, there was, the art room and the music room were high on moisture, but the rest of them were fine. And they have a glue that will go up to 99% moisture, but it's that 1% that they won't guarantee. And so if it's higher than that, then they won't guarantee their glue.
So when I think of moisture, I think of the other yucky M word. Is there any?
We haven't found any yet underneath any of the carpets.
Mold is what I'm referring to.
Why,
What's the other M
like, the
word?
priority of this, is this a pretty high priority?
It's really, like, there's other items that are, like me and Mike talked about this morning, Ossian, ethos, that one's an exterior problem. I think that one could probably be up there higher on the list. This is a cosmetic thing, it could be a safety thing if it gets bad enough, we don't maintain it, where people would trip and fall over the carpets. But I would say the hallways are definitely a visual thing, and then the classrooms with carpets, probably more of a safety issue.
And this could be done in sections or phases. So the number you see there is, and most of it, I mean, even, you could probably be a higher number if we're talking everywhere. But, you could phase it out and, which is why this, capital projects is a 3-year plan. And so, yeah, you could do just a few rooms at a time or whatever.
For sure.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thanks, Adam.
Oh, sorry, back to the painter. Because I've already had a call on it. How much time you guys or your staff spend lining fields and how much this would save?
I wish Nathan would come here. So the benefit of having that is he can push the button and it can lay out the entire football practice field, soccer practice fields, and then go mow another area. I think he said it takes him at least 8 hours to lay out just one football field. And the turfs help because we don't have to lay that out, but we still have 3 practice fields that he lays out, 2 soccer fields that he lays out. So it would, and with the middle school, there's a lot more yard mowing as far as push mowing. And so it's really like hiring another part-time employee, and it'll last for a long time.
Yeah, thanks.
So these are painters, other people have them, they've lasted
Yeah.
how many years to get out of one?
I couldn't tell you that. I know Fort Wayne, I forget who I talked to. Leo maybe has got 1 or 2 of them, and they've had it forever.
Then that price tag looks pretty high.
It is. But you also, like I said, if it's just 8 hours for one field, yeah. And then it's not that's just to lay it out. So each week, like on the soccer game fields, when we have soccer games, he paints it before every 3rd day or whatever it is. So you can just push that button and it'll go paint it all while he's mowing somewhere else. So it saves a lot of time in the long run of everything.
Okay. And that happens, I'm just trying to do the math here.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how many hours he's putting in per
Painting.
season.
I bet he goes through 60, 55-gallon drums, and not 55-gallon drums, 55-gallon buckets, and each bucket makes 15 gallons. And so I would say he probably spends, just a rough guess, probably 10 hours a week, just painting
For how many weeks?
the whole song. I mean, they want the soccer fields get started painted in spring break, and we don't stop until after football and soccer's over. So it's from March till October.
They don't paint like the baselines for this?
Yeah, we do the baselines for baseball and softball too. That's not as bad, because it's just a straight line, yeah, straight down.
Hopefully, straight.
Yeah, we try to do it straight.
You
Nathan
guys
does a
do
good.
that or the coaches?
Coaches do from the outfield in, we do from the infield out. Ours are straight, the coaches, I can't really say for that. So if you look at them and they're crooked, that's the coach.
But this painter can do the infields if they choose.
Oh, this painter can,
Yeah, I've
if
seen
you
it.
wanted to put a logo
Yeah, I can
in the
do it.
outfield, you put in your logo and it'll go out there and paint whatever you want. Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how much time or.
The upfront cost is,
It's high, but-
and they said we could break that up into smaller payments. Not, you're still paying $65,000 for it, but if it lasts for 15 years, I think you're gonna get your money back out of it.
Well, yeah.
Plus being able to do more stuff around the area, around the yard.
Essentially, we're paying one person's salary for a year, but getting 15 years worth of work
15
out of
years
it.
out of it.
Yeah.
If that's how it works out, I mean, that just makes sense.
I can talk to Nathan and get exact numbers on how much the hourly
I think it'd be
people
easier,
it's in it.
I think it'd be easier to justify
for sure.
why, if we're gonna have these programs, you gotta pay the lines, so.
Yeah,
And what's wrong with our stage? Okay. The graduation stage?
so every year, it's a debacle on how we put it together, because none of it matches, none of it goes together. And it's just not really safe, to be honest with you. You have to get under, crawl, and as I'm getting fatter, I can't even make my way underneath there because you have to screw in little things underneath there. And it's probably 30, 40 years old, and it just doesn't, and the amount of people that we have on the stage, all the board, plus this assistant superintendent, it's superintendent, it's just not big enough for everybody to be on there.
Is that stage, if one is to be purchased, is it able to be used for other events like choir,
Yeah, it should be.
invitational? Do they have the stage already?
I don't know that we have a stage for the band and choir. We have risers, but not an actual platform stage. And I don't think they'd want to use the one that we got anymore. Now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Final.
Thanks. All right, so then just want to take you through other anticipated budgets. So we look at debt service, referendum debt, and rainy day, put that all together, also with operations in there. So these are our property tax supported funds. And so the part I want to point out again, and I've got kind of last year where we're at. So you can see there in 2025, it came out to 0.8967, but when we advertised, it was actually 0.9547. So the reason for that, and what we advertised for debt service last year was 0.4869. That gets worked out in DLGF, so that's the tax rate that comes down. And so but I can tell you, I don't know exactly, I can't tell you today that this is exactly, it won't come down to 0.8967. I mean, I don't know exactly what it'll be as it goes through the process, but it's also, I know for sure it's not gonna be 0.9869, right? So giving a little bit of context to that, again, 0.9547 was the advertised tax rate as that went through the DLGF process, ended up at 8.967. So, we're gonna be around probably 0.90, 0.91 maybe, which we've been there before. I mean, that's in pretty recent history. But I guess I just wanna point that out, that that's kind of where the budget processing works. When we take that through DLGF and then they scale it back.
And I think it's important for folks to understand too, we are still looking at all of the proposed bonding projects. We are looking at reducing our bond amount, which would in turn
Right.
reduce our debt service.
Right. Then this is just showing you, so it's in the board packet, it's in the public documents as well, but just showing this is Form 3, this is what we're advertising for the budget. And so in overall, if you look at rainy day, if you add rainy day debt service, referendum debt, education and operations. This year, if you add all that up, it's like 34,467,808. And last year, that was 36,465,575. So reduction of almost 2 million off of our budget for this coming year.
Including the proposed bond or not including the proposed?
Well, that'd be
bond?
your debt service estimate, and so that, and that's based on, that levy is based on, I think, the 2.5 million, right? When we were going through and doing the budget debt. Yeah, so if that gets reduced, that debt service levy would be less, which means that the rate would be less.
Okay. Any other questions on the board? And this is a hearing, so this is opens to the public. Are there any members of the public that are wishing to speak in regards to the proposed budget?
Yeah, I would just like to make a comment.
Okay, Bob?
Okay, my name's Bob Hart, Uniondale, and I just wanted to make a comment here too, that your public is not an adversary when we're up here. We do advocate for the best possible education for our students, and you are urged to use the budget wisely for promoting and stimulating these young minds that we have. Your discussion has been general in budget cuts. I would like to see something more in detail on these. You've discussed things like cutting costs and benefits. What are those? Fees for the families, we don't know much about that. Salary adjustments, what's that? And it seems that board meetings focus more on the physical amenities instead of education a lot of times that I see. And I'd also like to know what your five-year plan is. You know, you've talked about bus garages and other plans in the future. Do you ever discuss to the public what maybe the next 5 years are to bring? And I do want to say there are a lot of positives. You implement LifeWise and accept that, and campus life is good. And I see some benefits in some of the programs you've given for higher education. So I want to just give you the positives too. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Are there any other members? Mr. Donaghy?
Gene Donaghy, Ossian, Indiana. I just want to support the $2.5 million bond issue. Over the years, if we don't do stuff, it gets delayed, or something really gets bad, and then we don't have operation funds to really fix it properly. And I think with the SEA 1, we really don't know what that's really gonna do over the future. But I think that at least having $2.5 million in there to help see what's really gonna fund it, and then keep projects going, because 09 through 12 or 11 was horrible. I mean, we cut 30 teachers, it was just a real mess. And I don't think it's gonna increase taxes enough to even worry about. I mean, if we would cut taxes by 10% for schools, it only saves a farmer $1.90 an acre. So we don't want to pay any more money. On our house, if we cut the budget, I mean, you go from 0.8967 down 10%. I think on my taxes would go down $240. Well, $240 saving each year, then 3 or 4 years down the road, we got to pay a lot more money to redo stuff that we haven't upkept. Can really affect me down the road. So I would support the 2.5 bond issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Gene. Any other members of the public? Do we take action, or does it get advertised
No,
first?
it's advertised.
Okay.
Yeah, so the next meeting, just to look at this real quick again, so we'll adopt the budget at the October 14th meeting, and then it gets uploaded, so that's where you passed a resolution for the budget.
Thank you. Moving on to discussion items, LifeWise expansion to Norwell Middle School.
Yeah, so I want to invite Principal Enderly to come up with his LifeWise representatives, and they just want to talk about how they want to expand LifeWise to the middle school. We have it in our elementary schools, and I know Rhonda can talk a little bit about how that process has gone, but they want to talk a little bit about looking at the middle school, so I'll get their presentation up there.
So I'll turn it over to them quickly. My name is Andrew Enderle, I'm the principal at the middle school, and just wanted to talk to you a little bit about expanding LifeWise into the middle school. I think we have a pretty good plan in place. There's gonna be some challenges to morph this into a middle school concept, but it is being done across the United States and schools in our area, so it is doable, and we're excited for the opportunity to bridge the gap to the middle school as well. So I'll turn it over to Ron and Abby.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to talk to you about the expansion to the middle school with our LifeWise program.
Very happy to do that. We appreciate that we've had the opportunity the last 2.5 years to already be in elementary. And I'm gonna switch these every week. We'll do it, okay. Just to give you a very brief summation of LifeWise, in 1952, the Supreme Court ruled that you can do Bible education during school hours as long as you follow 3 principles. You have to, well, the kids have to have permission from their parents. You know, they want to do it and the parents sign. You have to take them off of the school property onto private property, and it has to be privately funded. And that pretty well clinches any arguments as far as church and state.
Yeah, so I'm Abby Fillers, by the way. I'm the new director for LifeWise the next couple of years, and so I'm very excited for this opportunity. I'm a 2021 Norwell grad, so I love Norwell.
I'm a 1977.
Yeah, so as you can see with this map, this is just all the programs across our nation. All the red are active live programs. So you can see the Midwest is very open to LifeWise, and we're fortunate enough to have Norwell be a part of that Indiana section.
To give you a little bit of history, Mike asked for some of the really positive things and maybe a discussion a little bit on some of the challenges that we faced. To cover some positive things, we could write a book. But, I mean, it's been really exciting. Some of the things that have happened that just bring a lot of joy to us. We had kindergartners receiving their Bibles, and it was going to be a party day. They were going to play games, have a snack. I would say half the kids never got to the snack table. None of the kids played a game because they received their Bibles and they sat down on the floor and started looking at them and finding the Bible stories. And you could hear them talking to each other. It was really, I wish all of you could see that. It's just brilliant. As Lancaster, we had some elementary boys, I used to know what grade, I think it was 3rd grade, on the day they got their Bibles. Then they get back to school, the first recess they had after that, they did not go out and play the way little boys play. They took their Bibles, sat on a bench, and read Bible stories together. And so what you're letting LifeWise do is having a big impact on these kids. We had a little kindergartner this year that informed us that this was the best day of her life. And so it's good. We've had faced some challenges. One challenge was just that the kids got so pumped up about LifeWise that then they went back to school really pumped up. And that makes it hard for the teachers, because then they have to spend 10 minutes getting everybody back into. So we spent a lot of time talking about, okay, how can we help the kids to go back in school mode? And one of the things that we teach at LifeWise is what prayer is and how to apply it practically in their lives. How can you talk to God about your own needs, and how can you talk to God for other people? And so what we came up with is on the bus ride back to the school, that we would have the kids pray, so they get some practical application to prayer, but also that who they would pray for is their school. And that is gonna be a positive effect even on the school. So 1 week they pray for their teachers, 1 week they pray for Mike, 1 week it's, well, will be principal under me, but now it's, Adam and Ginger, and they pray for the specials teachers, the janitors, the cooks, the nurse, and then when we get to the end, we just start over. They love it, and they are doing most of the praying. In the beginning, we, basically taught them by praying, but now it's a big, can I do it this week, and it's, you just need to ride the bus one time, Mike, and watch the kids pray. It's really neat. So that was an answer to a struggle, and I feel like it's made a difference. They definitely walk in school calmer than they used to.
Okay, so just to describe some benefits of how LifeWise can help transform in a mess. So our motto here at Norwell is ready for what's next. These kids just got introduced to a brand new middle school, and so they're already excited and pumped up. And so I think adding LifeWise and giving them the opportunity to have Bible education during school hours would be a great asset, just because they're ready for what's next. So, community involvement, we have great sponsors, great partnerships with businesses, and so I think with their giving to our program and their investment in the kids in our program, they're also giving back to Norwell in a way, especially with our elementary schools. A lot of families donate to LifeWise, or they give their time by volunteering, and so it's just kind of cool to see that connection and their love for LifeWise and their love for Norwell. And then LifeWise has done many surveys just to see the success rate of LifeWise in schools. So a higher attendance rate, kids are more excited to come to school because they get to go to LifeWise, lower discipline rates, and higher academic success overall. Location, if the middle school would implement LifeWise, Brad Kittle, from the pastor from Murray Missionary Church, he has offered a space for us to have our middle schoolers there. It's about a 5-minute drive from Norwell, so it wouldn't take too much out of our time and out of class time from Norwell as well.
And I'd like to tag on, we have had a few times where there, student says, oh, well, this happened or that happened. And so we are in the process right now of getting cameras in every classroom, on the buses, on the outside of buildings where it shows the kids getting off the buses. So every aspect is going to be covered. So if somebody does say, oh, well, so-and-so did such and such, look at the camera, and then we'll have the truth.
I know you guys mentioned adding cameras and upgrading cameras in your buses too, so we're trying to do the same thing with our buses. So speaking of buses, that's how we transfer students from the school to our off-property campuses, and they call it the Big Red Bus. So maybe some of you have seen it around Wells County. So that's how we get the kids to and from. And all of our buses are driven by licensed and certified CDL passenger bus drivers. And we also have an ADA compliant minibus available for students who may be in a wheelchair or need more help getting onto the bus. So talking about what is actually taught in the classes, all of our curriculum is directly from the LifeWise Corporation, and they also use pieces from the Gospel Project and the Bible Project as well. So all of these lessons are planned by our teachers, and it's direct teachings from the Bible as well. And so we use a lot of incorporation of character traits, so like gratitude, patience, kindness, just as they would learn in their other classes throughout the day. And then we base it all on the 3 H's, so head, heart, and hands, which that applies to humans every day. Like even if they use it through the Bible education or just in other areas, but that applies to people, how they live. And so that's why we apply all of our lessons to head, heart, and hands as well.
And we are going to actually be having our Evening of Impact, which is a fancy way to say fundraising day, on Thursday, October 2nd. The doors will open at 6, the meal begins at 6:30. There is no charge to attend. So if any of you would like to hear more about LifeWise and hear from the other directors and different impact stories, we'll be sharing a lot of impact stories that night, just to give a really good picture of what LifeWise has done in the last 3 years in the entire county and some of the exciting things that are coming. And this QR code will get you to the link to sign up. We'd love to have all of you there. But it is a really good opportunity to hear about and really see in action what's going on.
Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about the schedule, but before I do, just want to note that LifeWise is in alignment with our community values, and I don't see it as pinching our services as a school to allow something like this to work at the middle school. I see it as an opportunity to bridge the gap with our community and further have discussions about pushing into parent choices and allowing for parents to do what they see as best for their students' education. And this is a good example of us bridging that gap with parents. And I've appreciated that from the elementary level. And I think it's a good step in the right direction for the middle school level as well. And that actually came up specific to our homeschool forum that Mr. Springer and I led at the middle school. And one of the main reasons that we heard about why parents keep their kids at home is for religious reasons. And in a community like ours, a highly impacted Christian community, that would be the reason that is resounding amongst those parents that came to our meeting. So that's anecdotal, but I think it's relevant to the conversation that we're having today. So in terms of our schedule as it would fit at the middle school, we went back and forth on high impact time versus low impact time. So we looked at it from that vantage point. And our fifth period is our longest period of the day. It consists of our lunch blocks. So we have 3 30-minute lunch blocks for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. So it's already an anomaly in our schedule, and it allows for extra time. And that's where we have fit, as you can see, win time. So it stands for what I need. It consists of, for the general population, drop everything and read. Commitment to catching up and working on IXL homework, and then sustained work time for a portion of that fifth period as well. So for the bulk of students, they're getting the opportunity to work on their assignments. They're working on things that they've missed or trying to get caught up from sickness or otherwise. But it's also an opportunity for us to implement interventions and pull students from various locations to meet one-on-one or in small groups with individual teachers. So it's very individualized, but for the masses, I think it fits. Another thing that we've heard back from our community is that we want to spend time at home with our kids after school hours doing things with our family and not just homework. So we're providing an opportunity for our kids to work on homework during the day where their instructors are right in front of them and they have the help that they need. We hear that a lot as well, that I don't know how to do this new math that we do here, and this gives us the opportunity to have another set of hands on kids during the school day. But with that said, it gives us a ton of flexibility as well, and they're not missing direct instruction if they were to participate in LifeWise. So the example that I'll use is running it through the 6th grade, which typically they eat first lunch at 11:01. So they would eat their normal lunch, and then they would immediately be dismissed to the Big Red Bus and travel to Murray Missionary and have approximately, I would say, 50 minutes, give or take, with transition. So anywhere from 45 to 50 minutes, and then be transported back before 5th period concludes, and then they would go directly to 6th period to finish their day. And for 6th grade in particular, that's related arts, and we're very used to being with them being charged up and excited to go to related arts at the end of their day anyway. So this would not be an issue in terms of our schedule, especially in terms of them missing instructional supports, whether that be math, language arts, or related arts like PE or otherwise. They wouldn't miss any of that.
So is it based on the schedule, I assume that they attend once a week? They're not attending 3 days a
Correct.
week, right?
Yes, sir.
No.
And have you kind of surveyed parents to get a gauge on, are you gonna need 1 bus or 2 buses to transport?
I can let them speak to the specifics once the ball would start rolling, but we have not
You have-
gone
okay.
that route because it needs to be a board-approved decision. So the start time for this program would be dependent on how quickly things like teachers and transportation would be finalized in terms of planning. And
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too. Is it intended to be next semester? Is it intended to be next school year? Is it intended to be, if it's approved in 2 weeks, you would hopefully be in place to do something even before the semester's over?
when we first started talking, and again, you ladies jump in as you see fit, but as we first started talking, Rhonda mentioned probably at more of a quarter or semester break, it would be logical. But knowing that our 5th period does not work on that, it is the same class all year round, unless it is a specific schedule change for an individual student. I see this as an opportunity where it could be implemented immediately, it could be implemented in 3 weeks. It's based on the parents' approval as well. So if it is not a good time at that point and they want to wait until a normal break, that's fine too from my vantage point, but they could speak to what is typically done at the elementary levels. And we talked a little bit about how often we would have new admittance into the program, so it wasn't chaotic with additional ads and trying to keep logistics to, the chaos of logistics to a minimum. But knowing that if a student wants to do this, prolonging that wait is probably not for the best in terms of their interest. So my preference would be to allow it to start as quickly as we could get things secured. And that would also coincide with some natural breaks of trimesters, and we're getting close to that point of quarter 2. So I think we have opportunities of natural breaks, but I wouldn't be hard pressed to say it has to be at a natural break.
And it would, with middle school being that they, I guess they're supposed to be more mature kids. They're unique, middle school is. I had 3 middle school kids, so I speak with some knowledge. But it would be nice to have something set up where the first week of each month, new students could join if they, so let's say we started on November 10th, okay? And then some kids were seeing, okay, this is what's going on, they talk to their parents, they want to sign up. Well, rather than make them wait clear till the middle of January or something, that they could start coming the first week in December. And then if that happened again, the first week in January. If that ended up being too often, for the sake of the teachers here in the building and things like that, then maybe we'd say every 6 weeks or something. It's a little bit different than at the elementary because of when it's being offered. But no, just every week somebody say, oh, I want to start going, that creates too much chaos, as Beverly said, so. But that would kind of be an ideal picture for junior high.
So what's the liability as far as the kids being on your buses? I know you're not going very far, but you're still thinking, well, of the school premises. What does that liability look like?
It is completely covered by National Likewise. And, it's one of the full liability. And our buses are owned, even though the individual program pays for the bus, pays to get it painted and all of that, the bus is owned by National Likewise. And then it falls under their insurance, their liability, all of that. And so it doesn't reflect, it doesn't come back on the school if something would happen.
And everyone has to have a permission slip from the parent.
Correct. And they also would need a parent slip saying they're not gonna participate anymore. So it's just on the record that the parent wants it, the parent doesn't.
You see a lot of parents wanting this program.
I would
would go back to the proof from the elementary pudding, and over 400 students participating in Likewise at the elementary is not nothing. So as those students, those cohorts move up to the middle school, I would see that as a natural progression as well, that just become a part of their academic experience. Middle school's a little bit different, and I would say if they were missing out on things like related arts at the middle school level, that would be more of a pain point. But because it's not, I can see that number staying fairly true. And I'll use the comparative of Campus Life, who meets weekly on Wednesdays, and they have anywhere from 60 to 100 kids of our 600, give or take, who participate. So, over 1/6 of our student population is involved in a Christian ministry on campus. That's different than going off campus, I understand that, but the foundational interest is there.
Yeah, we, in the 2 elementary schools, we serve 463 students total. And a lot of them, when they get to middle school, they are sad because there's no LifeWise program there because they loved it these last couple of years. So definitely that transition is something I want to fill that gap. So.
And that is even actually what opened the door for middle school, because back to school night in the elementary room, we were there with information and everything. One of the fathers had asked, he said, I've got 2 happy boys because they're going to be in Likewise again, and 1 unhappy one because now he's in the 6th grade. When are you going to take it to middle school? And the Likewise board member said, when we get home. And the father went home that night, talked to his church, which is Murray Missionary, his pastor. They called me the next day and said, you can do Likewise here. So it's all, that opportunity all came because of a student and a family who wanted to see it continue into the middle school from the grade school.
Are there any other questions of the board? All right, we'll give an opportunity. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak or have any questions related to that they can address once all the questions have been asked? All right.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
for your time.
Thank you guys very much. All right, moving on to parking spaces at the central office location. I know this was a
Yeah, this
question that
was
Corey?
something that someone, I got a few calls from teachers, and I think it's just more, that there might be some confusion because it says central office parking instead of, in the, at least on the high school side, I believe it says visitor parking. Not sure what it says over at the middle school entrance, if there is visitor parking. So the teachers were confused, saying, why does central office employees get specific parking spaces and we don't? And so my quick fix would be that we just call it visitor parking or put visitor above there, but I'm happy to.
So we originally came up with that idea because we didn't have signage for the central office. And that parking lot usually has athletics, stuff like that. And for me, it didn't make sense to have a visitor come into the central office, park all the way out by the football field to walk all the way in. So we just put central office parking on there. If we want to put visitor parking on there, it would be a cost to it to make it look right. If we put, for the band lot, we put hash marks where they weren't supposed to go. So we just blacked over them, but you can still see the hash marks there. So if we wanted to eliminate that completely, we can black it out, but it's always going to be there. If we want just the visitor parking, we could add visitor central office parking on it. That would be the cheapest option, but to get rid of it completely, it would be probably $1,500.
So the intention was for visitors entering central office.
Correct.
That's where they park,
Yeah,
to clarify, not for the staff
I think
of
there's,
central
what is
office.
there,
6.
6 parking spots there, yeah, so it's.
No, there's 8 total. I'm sorry. I thought you said how many central office staff. There's
Oh, yeah.
8 spots
8
and,
spots, yeah.
and 6.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to perception and the intention, so my personal opinion is put visitor on top of there and call it a day, but.
So
At night, are we still entering, for events at
at the pool at the middle school, are we still entering through those doors, or are we coming in through the cafeteria side like we did last year?
No, you'll still be going through
Okay,
that.
so that's my concern, is that lot has gotten smaller.
Mm.
I don't want people to think, oh, I can't park here because it's.
So my after-hours job is a security guard, so I'm handing out tickets to pay for our robotic sprayer. No.
I like the way you're thinking
Yeah,
though.
smart, isn't it?
I like the way you think.
Yeah, we don't monitor any of that, it's just basically during the day, so people can get to the central office, and then after hours, anybody can park. We won't tell you where or anything like that.
I don't
Unless it's your-
think that's the
yeah.
concern as much as just, are people gonna think that they shouldn't park there because that's where the
Sure.
central office?
Right.
So I noticed, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Going to New Haven at the football game last Friday night, theirs are marked reserved. And they have some that I think are marked visitor. And during the football game, people parked at all of them. Cause I think they recognize that because their central office is a separate building on the campus right out from their main entrance at the high school. And I don't think there was any, there'd be no way for those spots at New Haven during the football game to not be utilized. So, I think as long as the public knows that that's the intention, is after 5 o'clock, you can park in them, and it doesn't really matter what event you're going to, but, I personally don't see an issue with them being painted the way that they're painted. Again, knowing that, when I went to New Haven, those are specifically reserved. They actually reserve them for their staff, because of their parking lot, but I'm not saying that we wanna go there, if we wanna do that, if we don't, I don't really care, but I don't really think we need to put something in paint just to.
Well, like I said, I got 3 calls from teachers asking why certain staff gets to park there and they don't. So,
So maybe just,
Like I said,
It
I'm
just
saying
needs
is
to
just,
be
hey,
an
no
announcement
staff parking
at the
there,
very-
leave it open to the public, but.
right.
That's
I
fine.
yeah,
don't think we
that's-
need to change
So I
that.
just wanted to bring it, and I'm fine not painting over it for 1,500, but if we added visitor, fine. I'm just saying that's the complaints I got.
So here, just to show you, this is after hours, so this is, trying to think, I think this is like 4:30 or 5 or something like that. So none of these cars that are parked here are actually central office staff parking, nor are they anybody that's visiting central office at the time. Yeah, there's yours and there's mine. Yeah. And then I was gonna show you another one just during the day. Not that, I don't know if I need to, why is it not letting me get out here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 cents on it. First of all, you asked Mike if you could paint him, right?
Mhm.
Mike probably didn't think much about it. Painting in the central office, it describes where people that go to the central office park, or visitors, for the central office. Honestly, I don't see an issue with them, number 1. And 2, I think we were having a discussion on, to be honest with you. As a call by Mike, and I think it's fine. I think that we're getting down to details here.
Which is fine, but we went through a Norwell name change and changing all the colors so that we could be very consistent, in my opinion. And the high school side says visitor, and I'm just relaying what I got from 3 teachers. So if there was communication sent out prior to this that said, hey, just FYI, it says central office parking. This is not for staff, this is just where we want people to know where the new central office is. Fine, I don't think that took place based on my conversation, so I'm just bringing it here to say, I think we should be uniform and just have it look like the high school side and whatever the middle school side says. But it was 3 teachers specifically that said, why does central office staff get to park in
Yeah,
those
and
8 spots?
I would encourage them
So-
just to come ask us, because I haven't heard anybody, visitor, anybody say they didn't have a place to park or anything, so I think just ask us. But, so this is just another photo of the beginning of that day, so this car is parked in the same spot. I think this is probably like 11 o'clock or something like that. There's nobody parking in those spots, but yeah, I think the reason is for visitor. This is kind of all visitor. But we're happy to, Courtney here, we're happy to leave them open. I personally don't care where I park.
Not yet.
when does that come? When's that
We
expected?
don't have it. There's the pool, what does that say, pool
Pool
and
and-
insurance.
Yeah, we're gonna-
So we just haven't designed anything yet.
Yeah.
for it.
That would be helpful, too, right?
Yeah.
Are there any other comments from the board? This is a discussion item. Is there any other members of the public that wish to speak? This is just a discussion item. If there's a decision that really needs to be made, we could put it on the agenda next week. Until then, we'll move on to action items, personnel.
Yeah. So I do want to, so we do have Courtney here, so she's gonna go through the personal report. But the first item there, we had talked about this before and just had not brought it for various reasons. One, honestly, just forgot to bring it to one meeting, but, so we had talked a long time before when we were redoing the schedule and the, how we were doing bus driver pay. It made a commitment that we didn't want anyone to have a loss in pay for the, for how we were restructuring that. And for the most part, when we're talking about the loss of pay, we were talking about the work agreement, the basic work agreement, because you can do ECA routes, you can do CTE routes, you can do other things to add to your compensation. But that base pay, we were really trying not to affect. And we did affect, of the staff members that drivers we currently have, we did affect 2 on that. And so we just have a supplemental pay and work agreement for 2 of our bus drivers, Tani Jenkins and Connie Clark. And you can see the amounts there, $892 and $15. Trying to find my paper. I have so many papers up here, so I have to look at the exact amount that it is for them. But just think that we want to go ahead and make that recommendation to make that right.
I did just want to ask a clarifying in regards to Connie's. I know she stepped down from a double route to a single route. We're not bringing her back to what is she being paid adequately for that single route pay, or are we bringing her back up to where she was double pay, but even though she stepped down to a single route?
And she did step down, so yours would not need to be, yeah, sorry, when we were talking about this, Courtney, we missed that, didn't we? So her, with yours, because you are going to a single route, not doing a double.
I've always been a single route for.
Okay, yeah, so it did affect it, yes, sorry,
Okay.
sorry, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
that was the confusion, because
Yeah.
we were always told you had a double route and then went to
I
a
had
single
a
route.
double route years
So-
ago.
Right.
I had a single
Okay.
route.
Right, I don't know
for
if
the
we said
last
it on this one,
6
actually, but,
years or so.
yeah,
Okay, thank
sorry,
you.
sorry about that, you confused me there, Chad, so yes, that
Okay.
was a loss in pay for her.
All right.
So we're just
We'll-
basically making it right, Chad?
Yeah.
We're just doing what we
Correct.
said we'd do.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I'll take a motion on this.
Make a motion.
Have a motion in a second. All those in
Second.
favor, right hand. 5-0. Personnel report. Thank you.
Hi.
Ooh.
So personnel report, FMLA, Melissa Chisholm, UCA Treasurer, Middle School. We have 3 leaves of absence, Audra Frank, teacher at Lancaster, Skylar Imheiser, teaching assistant, middle school, Susie Cyrus, teaching assistant, high school. We have a couple of resignations, I'm gonna probably butcher her last name, Jennifer Flukinger, food service, Lancaster, Olivia Pula, seasonal office staff, Norwell, Eric Decker, substitute teacher, Norwell, and then recommendations, Jesse Randolph, teaching assistant at Ossian, Paul Shorey, head track and field coach at the middle school, Jacob Redding, assistant track and field coach at the middle school, Tyler Doyle, theater director, high school, and then Destiny Dahlberg, bus driver, at WCS.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, you did an excellent interview with all the people, right? And have all that information. For
For,
the resignations.
no, a couple of them, like Derek Decker, substitute teacher, he's teaching at another district. So, that is something that Mike and Anna and I talked about. If we, reach out, send an email stuff, I did reach out to other school districts in Indiana, how they compile exit interviews, and it doesn't seem like a lot of them do it, or they send them by email, so I am looking at how do we email an exit interview to some of those employees, so.
You get in trouble, you
I'm sorry?
can start a trend.
I could, because I was pretty impressed with where we're at compared to what my responses were, so, from other districts, so.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
Oh, we're splitting this up instead of putting the donations on there, so.
Yep.
So this is not consent, we pulled it out, just because we've been having a lot of questions in personnel reports, we thought we'd just do it as a separate action item.
Yep.
I'll Make a motion to approve? Okay.
Have a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Have a second, all in favor, right hand. Thank you.
All right, so donations, we do have some action items for donations. Gamma Zeta, $500 for middle school band class instruction. Lancaster United Methodist Church, $350 for all schools and student needs. Oakley Family, $100 for the high school boys soccer. 6 Mile Church, $300 for ASEAN student assistance. And Stockton Mortgage, $150 for middle school border wars.
Okay, those are donations. Any questions? Okay, motion? Motion for approval. A second, all in favor, right hand. Resolution to reduce the 2025 appropriation.
Right, so again, appropriations is just, we've appropriated to spend, and so as we're looking at the 2026 budget, and Deb and I were working through that, really feel like we need to make kind of a commitment here to carry that over to 2026, and we need to keep kind of moving forward as we're planning for the future here. So reducing appropriations and operations for 2025, and then carrying that over to the 2026 budget. And then for debt service, we get a credit back from the QSCAB, which is the Quality School Construction Bond. That was, what year was that, Deb? 2010. And so that credit then allows us not to have to pay that in the debt service. That's a credit to our debt service payment. So just crediting that back.
Okay. Are there any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, right hand. All right, we will open up this part of the meeting for limited public comment. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak? All right, hearing none.
Make a motion to adjourn.
A motion for adjourn. Thank you.